to a friend of mine, like, because it was less popular to talk about mental health back then.
Yeah.
I understand what you're going through. If you need somebody to talk to, please come to me, because it's extremely isolating and lonely what you feel when you go through that. And if you don't know what you're going through, it makes it worse.
Yep.
So my mother, thank you, was the one that pulled me out of it. She was like, in so many words, basically, I feel like something is off with you, and I feel like we should take you to the doctor. And I burst into tears and was like, okay. So that was one of many times bursting into tears for maybe or maybe not no reason at all, just crying for no reason. I go to the doctor, they weigh me, and I'm like, okay, cool. Go to the room, and she was like, okay, the doctor will be in a second. And she leaves, and the second I hear that door click into the door jamb, I burst into tears like a baby. And my mom was like, what happened? Why are you crying? I was like, I am not okay with that weight. I hadn't been that weight in, I don't remember now how long. And I've suffered my entire life with trying my best to gain weight, trying all different diets and fads and techniques. Nothing works. I've had 2 babies. Didn't work. So yeah, I was like, I'm not okay with this. But the doctor that I had was, and I think she said she was an Army brat. She was some type of military kid. And she was like, I experienced what we would call situational depression. You may not have a hormonal or chemical imbalance. You may not have ever dealt with this before. But if you've gone through something that like shifted your entire life and you emotionally weren't prepared for it, it can send you into depression. And I was like, that's crazy.
Yep.
But it's good to know. A lot of people, like, whether you think like I'm a strong Black person, I got this, I can take it, or this is how my mama raised me, I'm not weak. But sometimes you need help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's no shame in getting on medication, whether you have to stay on it or taper off of it like I did. I tapered off my first time and had to get back on it. Tapered off the second time.
Same thing.
And after I moved back home, I actually asked my doctor if he would prescribe me the same antidepressant. I was like, just in case, like, I want to have it before I get like established with my new doctor and everything, so that I don't have to wait. And he obliged. I got it prescribed, and thankfully I didn't. I had a moment where I was like, bottom drawer next to my bed. Do I need it? But you learn to recognize it for what it is so that you can handle it better.
Yeah.
And I flushed them, and I haven't taken anything since.
I wouldn't have done that, but
I
would have kept them reserves, because I was in the same situation recently where I was like, I really want to get off these meds, and then my anxiety came back like a bull. Like, it was not playing, and I was like shaking. Like, before we got ready to start doing the podcast, like I was just like having such bad anxiety. Like, I didn't want to leave the house. I was scared to leave the house. I stayed on the couch the whole time. Of course, it drew me into depression. I'm like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be anywhere. Like, I was a mess. So I had to get back on it, and I didn't have him because I did what you did. I flushed him. I was like, I'm not getting back on that. I'm done with this. I can handle it. I'm strong. And I'm like, hey, CVS, do we got some on back? Like, do we got a little reserve? And luckily I did have one refill left. And I was like, thank God, because I was not about to make it. So don't flush your stuff, okay? Keep them on reserve.
But don't take it if you don't need it. If you know yourself well enough.
Yeah.
Because we are at the point where we know ourselves well enough. If you're established in what you've been feeling, you know what you've been feeling, take it when you need it.
Right. Talk to your doctor.
I guess I do agree. We both went through the flush moment.
Don't do that.
And I mean, I didn't need it, at least for that reason. And they would have expired by the time I ever needed them. And then I went through, I'm figuring out if I'm going through postpartum depression, which is hormonal. So I was under the impression that postpartum can rear its ugly head up to 2 years after you have a baby, and found out that that is actually 5 years. And I am within that time frame for both of my kids. So I started noticing that I was very snappy. And my mom, out of love and concern, asked, like, you know, I forget how she worded it. It was kind of like, you got to calm yourself down. Like, do you have to snap so quickly? And I had to explain to her, like, and not in a bipolar, schizophrenic, like someone else lives inside me type of way, but because that's real, and I have not experienced it. I'm not making fun of it, but for the best way to illustrate how I was feeling was, I feel like when my kids would do certain things, a totally different person inside of me would be like, I can't take this anymore. I'm about to snap. And she would snap and raise her voice and get an attitude and be frustrated. And almost immediately, if not within a few seconds, I'm like, I hear myself and I'm like, dang, I did not have to react that way.
Yeah.
But it's too late. So when I explained that to my mom, she was like, okay. She's never experienced that herself. She was like, I get that.
Yeah.
The only difference is, before I was thinking like, oh, my kids are just really busy and I don't get out enough. Like, I'm just a really overstimulated mom.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was like, if it's going to benefit me, and more importantly, my kids, with the mother that they're receiving on a day-to-day basis, I need to go get myself evaluated and see if I have postpartum depression, if they want to put me on medication, or if they have, coping techniques or anything like that, like whatever. I'm not against getting on medication again. I've done it before. It's nothing to be ashamed of. And like I said, I'm planning on being evaluated. I don't even know if I need it, but
it doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
Because you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
That you may not. You might just be going through the woes of
I would be surprised if they told me I didn't need it. And that's something I meant to mention. It feels totally different than situational depression. That dark black pit of like, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to be around anybody. And just having no desire for the things that you like. Versus my personal experience with what's possibly postpartum is more so like mood swings and snapping. I definitely don't feel like I'm in a black pit, which is why I didn't address it sooner, because I didn't recognize it. I've never been through it before.
Makes sense.
So they may be like, girl, you just overstimulated. Like, meditate, pray, get the kids out the house and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Or they might say like, no, you could benefit from therapy, medication, whatever.
Yeah.
And for my kids, I'll do it.
Definitely.
Yeah. Already mentioned that. And then anxiety. I did not initially realize what anxiety was within myself. You hear people talk about it, but and I knew someone who was on medication for it in elementary or middle school. I'm not sure.
That's young.
Yeah. And of course I was empathetic. I never judged. I was like, oh, okay, that's a thing. All right. Well, I hope it doesn't get too bad for you. Like, I can't, give you advice or anything like that because I've never been through that. But, and nowadays, people and kids are getting diagnosed so much earlier, since it's more accepted and understood to really take care of your mental health. But when I started dealing with it, was probably about 10th grade. I went through a really bad experience, and like, I got so worked up, screaming at the top of my lungs, that I started crying. And that crying started snatching my breath away. And I realized that I was hyperventilating and I wasn't breathing. And I was like, I can't stop myself. I physically cannot stop myself from hyperventilating right now. And that was scary. So I think that's the last or the first experience that I could mentally pinpoint.
So you had a panic attack.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I had a panic. And girl, I had a sharp pain go through my chest. I think a friend of mine took my phone and called my mom because I was like out of it. And told her like, Leanna's not right. Like something's going on. Come pick her up. So she picked me up and she was calmer than I felt like she should have been because I guess she knew what it was. But I was like, I feel like I'm having a heart attack because all that air gasping was putting gas in my chest. So whereas, you know, when you eat, if you feel gas, you feel the pains down here. Yeah. But if you're gasping for air and you're filling up your chest with gas, it can feel like, well, I would imagine I've never had a heart attack. It can feel like, you know, something's coming on that needs to be addressed. So that was the first situation. And then I learned over time to manage it with breathing, which for some people may look like deep breath in, deep breath out, versus for me, I had to catch myself on a hyperventilating in breath and hold it for however long felt comfortable and then slowly release it. And then if I was still hyperventilating, catch the in breath and hold it and release it, and then it would slow down. So it's really good to learn yourself if you do experience really bad anxiety, how to physically handle it. Mentally, I've seen a lot of people do senses, like name, it's a certain amount of numbers, but name something you can hear, name something you can see, smell, taste,
ground
feel,
yourself.
And ground yourself.
I do ice pack. My youngest, with her anxiety, I ice pack her. So ice pack and dark room. Get rid of.
I don't like being cold, so that might make me worse.
But it'll shock you out of it. It'll redirect the anxiety to another part of your body, so it just refocuses you.
That is true.
And sour candy. Sour candy and an ice pack will do it.
Is that another sense shocker?
Doctor recommended. Doctor recommended.
See, I learned all of my anxiety technique, like depression. They were like, here's some pills. But with anxiety, I kind of figured that out on my own. Yeah. So that's really interesting to know. And then prayer, which sometimes may not work immediately in that moment. It might be something that you set, you know, spiritually protecting yourself moving forward.
And prayer is essentially meditation. So just grounding yourself is going to be the trick.
Yeah, very true. So that's mine, learning to manage it with breaths, senses, and prayer. But tricking your senses, I like that.
Yeah. With me, I bully myself. I'm like, get it together. You got this. I do. I bully myself. Like, you got this. What are you afraid of? Like, because my therapist was like, rationalize your thoughts. Yeah. You have anxiety. Why do you have anxiety? Why rationalize it?
I've heard that too.
So it's like, what are you afraid of? And it's like, what are you afraid of? You little punk. Get it together. You got to cook dinner right now.
I don't think it's like we don't get it that way.
But it works.
If it works for
it
you.
Works. I mean, about to fight myself. Like, I'm like, who are you talking to like that? Like, get it together. Figure it out.
It's so funny.
Do what you gotta do.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. I'm trying to get to my next one. Odd and random moments of feeling it seemingly for no reason. Which is why I laughed so hard at that, because I knew what my next point was and then forgot it while I was laughing. But I have had the one moment that I can recall now. I've had a moment where I was in the shower and I was not only playing music, but I was playing gospel music on top of it, which I don't normally do, and that's weird. And I like really hot showers. I know it's not good for you. Mind your business. but I was taking a really hot shower, like, you know, soothing to your muscles and relax you. I have anemia, so I guess it like warms me up, and that's why it feels so good.
Like a reptile.
Yeah. So all of a sudden, while I'm in the shower, I start feeling, and it's not like a, oh, it's hot in here heartbeat. It was like a, something's wrong.
Right.
Like I could feel my heartbeat vibrating in my chest. And then I got dizzy. And I sat, well, not really sat down, but I kind of like squatted down and touched the floor because I was afraid to fall.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now? I called my mom. Was like, Mom, such and such happened. Like, I don't understand what was going on.
Right.
Like, I'm not sick. She was like, it could have been anxiety. Like, what, were you thinking about something, or did something just happen prior to you getting in the shower? I was like, honestly, I was the most relaxed I've been in a long time. Like, hot, soothing shower, gospel, not even regular gospel, regular music, but gospel, which should calm you down even more. And my body just like went haywire. And I was like, it's crazy. The only thing I can think of is it was an anxiety attack. I mean, if you want to be scientific, I really couldn't tell you. If you want to be spiritual, I could maybe say that because I was experiencing such a positive moment, because I mean that some kind of negative spirit was like, oh yeah,
I wouldn't say that, because you can
I don't know.
Well, you can experience anxiety at a height of an emotion. It doesn't have to be good or bad. It's just the height of an emotion. So it's
I never thought about that.
So if you're so excited for something, you're going to have anxiety. Just your nerves are just through the roof. So it could have been that you were so relaxed and was so like intertwined with your gospel that is just, your emotions or your nerves didn't know what to do with everything. It was just too much going around. That makes sense. It was like, hey, sit down for a second. We're pinging way too much. So I was, that's what I was told, is that anxiety can come in any form. It doesn't have to be a negative thing.
I've only ever, that I know of, I've only ever, no, that's a lie. Because like you said, before we set up for the podcast, or when we went out for like a mom day, but that to me, I attribute more to, nerves. Like, I don't feel like I have to have a panic attack to be like, oh, this is anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely not. No.
But I feel like I can kind of tell the difference between nerves and anxiety. And I feel like the heartbeat racing when you're like, you're getting ready to leave the house to do whatever, is more so nerves. It's what if something bad happens while I'm there, or while I'm driving there? And what if I don't like it when I get there?
I think you experienced an anxiety episode before we started, because you were like, I feel hot and cold. Like I feel like I'm cold, but I'm sweating. That was anxiety. You had an anxiety moment. Didn't realize it.
I was like, wait, what did I say?
Yeah. So I think you totally had, your nerves got the best of you. You had
in a more positive setting.
It wasn't too bad. See?
Yeah. See, I learned something. So, yep, I think that is it.
Yeah, that was a nice conversation. I enjoyed that.
And PSA, no, seriously, for any of our viewers, young, old, in between, whatever background, if you have any kind of mental health struggle or issue or concern or question, talk about it with your doctor. Talk about it with a family member that you trust.
Yes.
Figure it out, because mental health is just as important as physical health.
Absolutely.
Emotional health.
Yes.
And if you believe in it, spiritual health. They're all very, very important. So
take care of yourself.
Self-care. Take care of yourself. I meant to put in our bio that our channel is meant for, just happy, conversation, talk about our lives, our experiences. But if we could help one person, whether they're a mama or not, if we could help one person not have to go through something that we went through, or get out of something that we went through faster and easier than we did, then I feel like what we're doing is 100% worth it.
Yeah, of course.
Right off the bat. So, yeah. That wraps it up.
Today's episode.
Thank you so much.